Okay, so if you've ever felt like your brain is just operating on a completely different wavelength,
Yeah.
compared to maybe everyone else in the room,
Mm.
like a really casual dinner chat suddenly spirals just inside your own head into this massive internal debate about, I don't know, the meaning of existence.
Right. Yeah.
Well, if that sounds familiar, you are definitely in the right place today. We're going pretty deep, exploring the fascinating psychology behind people who think just endlessly and feel things really profoundly.
Yeah, and it's such an important topic, I think,
Yeah.
because it's way more complex than just slapping on the label overthinking, you know?
Totally.
We've been looking through a lot of material stuff on Jungian and psychology, modern research into high sensitivity, notes on intellectual isolation,
Mm-hmm.
really trying to get a handle on this whole mental ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission really is to understand why this kind of depth feels like both this amazing gift, this blessing, but also sometimes just a genuine curse for the people living with it.
Okay, let's definitely unpack that. I think we kind of have to start with what it even means to be this kind of thinker. And Carl Jung, he summed it up so well, didn't he? Thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge.
That quote just, it cuts right to the heart of it. Because deep thinking, it isn't really about having a huge vocabulary or, fancy degrees.
Right.
Fundamentally, it's about the willingness to just sit in the discomfort,
Uh-huh.
to face those really messy, unresolved, ambiguous questions head on without immediately needing to jump to a simple answer or a quick judgment.
I always kind of picture it as this, like a necessary descent, almost like mental deep sea diving.
Oh, I like that analogy.
You have to go past the surface, the easy stuff, and let's
Yeah.
be real, down there it's murky, it can be dark, maybe even a bit scary.
That analogy really works.
Mm.
Because when you take that plunge into the subconscious like that, you're looking for clarity, sure. But what you actually find, it's often the stuff most people work really hard to keep buried.
Right. Yeah, like old fears or difficult memories.
Exactly. Internal conflicts. You go looking for answers, maybe simple ones, but you almost always come back with truth. And sometimes that truth hurts. It's a deeper understanding of yourself and, the world.
And that's the bit you just can't switch off, is it? You might come back up having figured out, I don't know, the root of why you're scared in relationships or seeing the contradictions in how society works.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just unknow that stuff once you've seen it.
Precisely. And in Jungian terms, that's really the start of what he called integration. The thinker doesn't come back from the depths suddenly fixed or cured.
Right, not fixed.
No, they come back aware, profoundly aware. And that awareness, that's where the conflict starts. It's what you call the curse of clarity.
Yeah, the curse of clarity. It's like once you see those underlying patterns, how the news might be slanted or how a friend keeps projecting their issues onto you or maybe how your boss is just driven by insecurity. You just can't interact with those things naively anymore. You've lost that innocence in a way. And that loss, it can feel incredibly isolating.
Oh, absolutely. And we see this come up again and again in the research, this feeling of loneliness. Deep thinkers often say they feel isolated, but it's not usually because they're physically alone. It's because, like you said, they can't turn their brain off long enough to just, I don't know, go with the flow.
Right.
It's like being perpetually just slightly out of sync with everything happening around you.
Oh, that is painfully relatable. You're at some party or maybe just brunch. Everyone's just kind of vibing, enjoying the moment.
Yeah, just chatting.
And meanwhile, your brain is off in the corner, quietly writing a thesis on, like, the sociological function of small talk or the deep psychological need for validation that drives sharing anecdotes.
Exactly. And God forbid you try and actually share that incredibly nuanced four-layer analysis you just cooked up.
Yeah, forget it.
The usual response is just confusion or maybe discomfort. Because the deep thinker is always craving that meaningful connection, that sense of wholeness. But they're stuck in a world that often just wants quick, easy interactions. They don't just want to be in the world. They want to understand its very fabric. And that just takes a different kind of time, a different pace.
So this internal depth, this
Yeah.
kind of relentless analysis, that's what often leads to problems externally, this friction with the world around them. Why does that clarity sometimes feel, I guess, threatening to other people?
Well, this is where we get into something called the mirror effect.
Yeah.
It's a really key idea when you look at people with high levels of insight.
The mirror effect.
Like basically, when someone is really analytical or just naturally very insightful, their very presence can act as a kind of cognitive challenge. almost without meaning to. They hold up a mirror to the people around them.
And let's face it, most people aren't actively seeking out a critical self-examination on a Tuesday afternoon.
No, definitely not. The deep thinker's clarity, even if it's just implied, it can make others subconsciously start questioning their own, intellectual or emotional depth. It reflects back things they might really prefer not to look at.
Ah, okay.
So the thinker might ask a question out of pure, genuine curiosity, like, why do you feel so strongly that that political approach is the only answer?
Yeah.
But the person hearing it, they might feel it as an attack on their intelligence or even their identity.
Wow. So just by existing and thinking the way they do, they become a sort of provocation, simply because they embody the questions other people might be trying hard to avoid.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that leads straight into that societal pressure we saw mentioned in the sources, right?
Yeah.
Society says it loves intelligence until that intelligence gets inconvenient or makes people feel uncomfortable.
That's the classic bind, isn't it?
Yeah.
The societal catch-22. We celebrate the idea of deep intellect, but we often don't tolerate the actual reality of it in a person. If you're too intense or perceived as too serious, or you ask one too many awkward questions, suddenly you're labeled, you're a downer, or too sensitive, or just too much.
It's like demanding Einstein's brain.
Right.
But only if it comes packaged with, like, super upbeat, TikTok-style energy, quick cuts, instantly digestible.
Exactly. We want the genius, but only if it's easy to consume and doesn't actually require us to slow down or reflect or, God forbid, feel uncomfortable for a second.
And that speed, that feels like the real enemy for the deep thinker today, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The whole modern information landscape, algorithms pushing quick hit, short form, everything, this constant drive for instant gratification.
Yeah, the endless scroll.
It rewards immediate emotional reactions and simple black and white answers. But deep thought, that needs time. It needs slow reflection, nuance, being okay with ambiguity. The two speeds are just. They're fundamentally at odds, and that just makes the deep thinker feel even more disconnected.
And it's not like this is a brand new problem either. This tension, this conflict of pace, it's ancient, really. The sources mention how historical thinkers often paid a pretty heavy price for seeing things others couldn't yet grasp.
Absolutely. I mean, look back through history. The pain of the deep thinker is often the pain of being ahead of their time. Think about someone like Nikola Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
His ideas about alternating current wireless energy, they were revolutionary, absolute groundbreaking. But his struggles, the financial problems, being marginalized, a lot of that was directly because the people around him, even the other brilliant minds, just couldn't fully comprehend his vision. They couldn't validate his ideas or support his work properly.
So he wasn't just fighting competitors, he was fighting against the cognitive limits of his era. His thinking was too complex, too integrative, maybe too far ahead for the world to handle right then.
Exactly.
That feeling of being unmatched, where your truth gets dismissed as maybe crazy talk, that must be incredibly painful, a profound source of suffering.
It is. And it teaches the thinker, often the hard way, that clarity can come at the cost of belonging. Which brings us to a really important warning, actually, about how all this analysis can function. Thinking, especially constant thinking, can easily become just armor, a defense mechanism.
Oh, right. The trap of analysis. Yeah, we definitely need to dig into that because that feels like a crucial point of self-awareness for anyone who thinks like this.
The trap is basically using your logic, your intellect, as a shield. If you're constantly thinking, analyzing everything, but you don't let yourself feel deeply alongside it, you build this kind of intellectual fortress around your emotional core. You get incredibly good at dissecting every external issue. Geopolitics, philosophical knots, social dynamics, everything except your own vulnerability, your own pain.
So you're basically intellectualizing your own suffering to avoid actually feeling it. Like you could spend a whole weekend analyzing, say, Stoicism and the nature of suffering.
Right.
Purely as a way to dodge confronting why your relationships keep hitting the same wall, or why you're genuinely unhappy in your job.
It's a very sophisticated avoidance tactic.
Yeah.
You're performing this brilliant intellectual surgery on the world, but you refuse to let yourself be opened up. And that's the key difference, I think, between using analysis for growth versus using it just to hide. So if the goal isn't being smarter than everyone or even being certain about everything, and it's not about avoidance, what is the actual healthy aim for the deep thinker?
Well, the sources seem pretty clear on this. The ultimate goal is something like wholeness. and being truly real.
Hmm.
They don't deep down crave being right all the time. They crave integration. That feeling of connection between their mind, their heart, their soul, whatever you want to call it. They're seeking alignment in a world that often feels really shallow and broken up.
And that search, that drive for integration, that's precisely why solitude often becomes so essential for them. It's not usually about hating people or being antisocial.
No, it's not misanthropy.
Right. It's a vital act of reconnecting with themselves.
Yeah, solitude is like the necessary quiet space for that deep internal work to actually happen. If the outside world is too loud, too fast, solitude is like their internal charging station. It's their Wi-Fi, maybe,
Huh. I like that. Their Wi-Fi.
where the signal to their own complex inner world is clear and strong, essential for artists, writers, philosophers, anyone doing that kind of work.
Absolutely. Solitude lets that mental descent we talked about happen safely. And the whole point of this entire process, this digging deep, it isn't to stay down there forever, living in the depths.
Right.
It's about bringing back what you find, the clarity, the truth, that more integrated sense of self, bringing it back up to the surface, to share it somehow with the world.
That feels like the ultimate payoff, doesn't it? That kind of emotional alchemy, taking the pain, the isolation, the difficult realizations, and transforming that raw stuff into perspective, maybe wisdom, and a kind of genuine usable depth.
Exactly. So if you're listening to this and you often feel like you're just too much, or you think about things that it seems like nobody else even notices, let alone cares about,
Mm-hmm.
please remember this. You shouldn't have to shrink your natural depth just to fit into spaces that feel shallow. What the world might sometimes dismiss as overthinking could actually be the very engine driving you towards this profound integration. It might just be your greatest gift.
It really is a profound balancing act, though. Keep diving, keep seeking that truth. But yeah, always remember to come back up for air, to anchor yourself in the real world sometimes, too.
Definitely. And if you ever feel completely alone on that journey, trying to find meaning and connect those dots, just remember, you've got us right here with you. We absolutely get that path towards becoming fully integrated.
Thank you so much for letting us guide you through this.
Yeah.
Well, this complex look at the psychology of deep thinkers.
We'll leave you with one final thought. It's from Jung again, and it really captures the essence of the pain, but also the huge potential of this necessary inner journey. He said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens."
Think deep, but try to live light. We'll catch you next time.